What's going on, my man? Thank you for being on the show. How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling fantastic. I'm happy to be here.
Hey, from one island boy to the next, welcome back on St. Maarten, man.
Thank you. It's been far too long. It's been 2 years, I think, since the last time I was here. And I could use some sun, let's just say that.
Word up. So this interview, we're going to be talking about your two babies. We're going to be talking about your musical career as Big Lou and your podcast, Go Produce.
Deal.
Now, behind the scenes, I don't know what was concocted first, but I do know what showed up first in my vision, and that was Go Produce. Now, Go Produce is a podcast, turn your passion into profit.
Exactly.
Right? Educating indie artists on how to be successful at their career. Now, where did you get the idea from to start a podcast like this?
The idea, well, that's exactly what we do as for the podcast, so great job with that and great job describing it. And the reason it was born is because I wanted to turn ultimately my passions into profit that I discovered relatively around the same time as I discovered my ability to speak and to do motivational speaking.
Right.
So instead of spending all of the time figuring out as an artist and making the mistakes that new artists will make, I thought it'd be smartest to speak to other people within the industry, whether they're experienced artists or other people that are doing things such as managers, such as engineers, such as agents, such as record label owners, to see what they've learned throughout their careers and how I can apply it directly to my career and then share that with other artists. So the ideas were kind of in tandem, but I did launch Go Produce first because I figured let me put back my efforts on the artistry because I may as well do it right.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
And was it also a sort of way on how to network with these professionals that you'll be interviewing?
Yeah, so it's a win-win-win situation. You have a platform essentially, and so because the fact that you have a platform, these professionals that wouldn't normally speak to you, at least I don't think they would.
Okay.
They say yes, and then they spend a whole hour with you, which is kind of bizarre. Wow. Just telling you their personal stories and their nuggets of wisdom just because you show curiosity similar to what you're doing. And like, people like to hear themselves speak from time to time, and if they're nervous, they just ramble. But if you listen to their rambling, there's definitely something that's wise in there.
Something of value.
Exactly, and that's why we try and pick apart.
Word up.
Yeah.
Now you're on the 5th season, if I'm not mistaken, with Go Produce, right?
Exactly, we're actually launching the 5th season on the 8th of December. So that's real soon. Yeah, so we've got season 5 coming out, which is episodes 49 through 60. We've got 12 per season, which is insane. We tried to have more of a story kind of concept in terms of taking an artist from the beginning stages of what they would be doing. So who are you going to be talking to? What kinds of equipment should you be looking for? Who are you going to collaborate with? What kinds of people do you want on your team? And then lead it towards the finding management and developing your performance skills and that kind of stuff. So it's a little bit more of a story plot this season.
Right. Nice.
Just experimenting.
No, nice change of scenery in a sense. And what is the feedback you've been getting so far on the show?
We've been doing this for about a year and we're still slowly growing. I must admit that we're growing slower than I'd like, but the feedback that we're getting is more people should be hearing this.
Right.
Oh wow, I'm happy I found this.
Right.
Yo, you got some cool stuff that you're talking about, which is all like fantastic, and it's the reason that we're sharing this. But the marketing aspect is definitely a struggle, you know. So that's something that I want to revamp.
Yeah.
And improve on.
I totally get it. Ladies and gentlemen, go check Go Produce right now. We'll have the tag up here for you to visit. Now, my next question, and this has to do with the other side of the coin, right? How does a honor student in biology at the Western University of London, Ontario, become a rapper, man?
Yeah, that's a good question. So probably the first time I said out loud that I wanted to be a rapper, I don't think I took myself seriously. But then I also said, am I going to be a biologist or work in that field for the rest of my life? And I took myself even less seriously. So that was a trigger, you know? That was a trigger. I was like, I can't just spend the rest of my life doing something alongside other people doing things they don't want to be doing.
Okay.
That's just a horrible cycle of I don't want to be part of that, let's just say.
Right.
And so I worked in biology and I worked in the pharmaceutical area for some time. And in that moment, I realized that, hey, I was putting on weight. I was just more aggressive towards people on the road. And I became aware of these kinds of things that were happening. I was like, this is not the person I am, nor the person I want to be. Right. And so I had to make the decision to remove myself from all of those different kinds of environments, which is easier said than done. But that's where I began exploring, who do I want to become? Mm-hmm. And a little bit of that was finding my voice, which is where the motivational speaking came in. And I really took a liking to it. I mean, getting on stage and sharing your story with whomever is interested or even half interested, I'm down to talk to. And I'm also down to listen to them, because everyone has something to say to you that you don't already know. Right. No matter who they are. Right. And so that exchange and communication really triggered a further curiosity into different ways of reaching mm-hmm. the individual. And yeah, motivational speeches are cool to a small group of people that are wanting to learn from motivational speeches. Right. But if you're trying to reach a larger demographic, do the same thing, but with music. This is what this is the origin of specifically the rapping, where it comes right. Where it comes right. in. Exactly. Okay. Exactly. And so perfect. Keep those kinds of messages that you're trying to convey in your speeches, yeah. but put it into song. Right. Right. Yeah. Right. Now, I want to talk about your first single, Do It As a Crew. Hey. A catchy yeah. beat, sure yes. To move your feet. Where did the idea for Do It As a Crew come from? As a crew, yes. Okay. I wrote that song earlier this year, and I've got approximately like 8 other songs that I've written and prepared, and they're going to be released as EPs, but none of them were an introductory as to who I am as an individual or as an artist. And so I wanted a dance kind of style beat with Caribbean elements, couple of Latin elements a little bit, but you're moving essentially. And I wanted to tell people in a short amount of time who I am, the kind of energy that I'm trying to bring, and what the purpose of this whole community is. And so Do It As a Crew, we're doing it together because I believe that together we're stronger, but also do it just for you, mm-hmm. because we're all connected individually, but we have to do it individually to achieve collectively. Mm-hmm. And so don't worry about what other people are thinking. Go ahead, do what makes you happy, and together we can thrive off of that. Right. So I tried to do that in a little chorus, and then I have a little like slower part, so I'm really connecting with the individual. I tried to have slower elements and then faster elements to take people on a ride. Mm-hmm. And so we released that in August. That was the first time I released it, and finally we're getting to the point of getting the official music video done. And so today, yesterday, and the day before, we spent some time. I'm doing editing virtually now. I don't know if you're aware of how this happens, but it's mind-blowing. I'll have to show you. Star's face right now. Yeah, yo, my world is different. But we're hoping to release that mid-December, the 15th to the 20th, which will complement the story as to what I'm saying, the words, into a visual because of how things unfolded after I released, which is kind of dope. I saw the teaser trailer on the bridge. I'm excited. It's crazy. Like just seeing it come together. Who is that person on the screen doing these things? Yeah. But it's dope. I mean, I wouldn't go back to any of my past jobs. Right. And Do It As a Crew. Maybe that would link to the next question, wherein the happy rapper type of vibe that you put out. It's a different lane than we're actually used to here on St. Maarten. Yeah. What made you actually go down that lane, and did you think of the sense of success you might be getting from thriving in that type of rap, I would say? I was hesitant, but so the reason I got into rap, I was fascinated by different kinds of music, and I wasn't always a hip-hop person. But the reason I got into rap and hip-hop was the storytelling capabilities that some of these artists have. Right. A lot of lyricists, I say that loosely, a lot of rappers will just rhyme with the same 3 words throughout the whole song.
Yeah.
And
Hannah Montana.
and it bops. I mean, it works for them, but that's not genuine to who I am.
Correct.
And so I was trying to figure out, I was like actually preparing for different kinds of interviews, and it's like, how would you describe yourself? Like, what's your super, super short pitch? It's like, well, I want to be the happy rapper, but what that means is not like, you know, kumbaya, all lovey-dovey, because that's not realistic all the time.
Right.
I realize that a lot of people are struggling. There's a lot of pain in this world. And sometimes you can't be happy. It's not healthy to be happy all the time, but you can choose happiness.
Right.
You can choose to see a poor situation from a positive perspective and make everything else shine a little bit brighter. And so that's the idea behind Happy Rapper. I myself struggle with different kinds of things. I'm sure we'll uncover that as life happens.
Right.
But I really believe that the mindset of the individual can change the way they live, not only for the individual themselves, but for the people around them.
Gotcha.
And that's magnificent.
And who are some of the lyricists that you look up to or learn from?
So when I started out, I would have to say Logic. Logic is huge. Dax.
I was getting a type of Logic vibe from you, so
yeah.
I also suspected.
That's awesome. Yeah, he's phenomenal with just his wordplay and the actual messaging.
Yeah.
Magical stuff that he does.
Nah, that guy is up there.
Yes.
Sure.
Yes.
Sure. Okay. Maybe J. Cole. I don't know.
J. Cole. Yeah. I mean, you can't say no to Cole. I mean, Kendrick's got very positive lyrics too. Boss, if we're in that realm.
Dreamville.
Man, there's just so many artists doing beautiful work, and if you actually put in the time to listen to what they're saying, as opposed to just like blasting it on the side, which is still fun, but if you listen to what they're hearing, they give you the answers. The answers to whatever you're looking for, essentially.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I want to get into your second single that you put out, and it was on YouTube.
Oh, nice.
Changes remix.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Ooh, that was a fun one. So I was actually hesitant to write that because it's Tupac. You know, and you can't disrespect Tupac.
It's a big standard, right?
You can't. Yeah. And I actually like researched who has Tupac remixes, and Dax is one of them. And I think there were two other artists that did it, but like people aren't remixing Tupac. But I was going through a couple of like stages of turmoil, and I like to think that we always have room to change. Yeah. Whether it's growth, whether we're going in the wrong direction. I think even if you're going in the wrong direction, it's better than just being stagnant, right? Because you can learn from that and then pivot. But the idea behind that was like, as a society and different things happening around the world, I felt a little overwhelmed and anxious, and we really need to achieve this kind of change. And a lot of people, from my observations, aren't even willing to consider the fact that we have the power and the ability to make this change. It's just, we always say they. And when we ask the people, who is they? It's like, oh, you know, the people in power, the government or whomever. But we're actually the people who are in power. And I think that's a similar message that Tupac was trying to share. Yeah. With all of his music, he had his own style, the way he did it. My style is very different, but it was the same attitude. So that's why I chose that song.
Man, beautifully said.
Thanks. Thanks. It's possible, you know, changes, yes. They're inevitable. Yes. They're happening regardless if we want them or not. Take control and make the change you want. Word
up, man. Big respect. We got Big Lou on the show and Go Produce. Now, what is the decision, or how did the decision come to be that, you know, you had Go Produce, or you have Go Produce, Big Lou, London, Ontario? You made the move back to St. Martin. Where did that come from?
It's cold. outside of the cold. I mean, I've grown to appreciate the winter, but outside of that, I felt like at this stage in my artistry, it was at least beneficial to myself to connect and collaborate with other individuals in my original environment. And so there's a lot of culture that I feel like I've been missing out on because I'm just not physically in the space. And there's different things about literally just the island itself that I haven't fully appreciated in my whole life, despite having grown up here, because when you leave, you see it from a different light. And family, friends, you know, people are getting older, their families are growing, so I wanted the opportunity to come back and reconnect with that. I don't want to talk about the dirty C word, COVID, but it's just all of these kinds of things required a change of space, and I hit a wall in August earlier this year. Mental break, I don't know, I was no longer productive the same way I was, and that's just not okay with me because you got to be working towards something. If you're not, I feel like you're dying. And so before that happened in August, I didn't see myself leaving Canada long term. I would come home and reconnect and then leave again, but it was a matter of realizing that we have to be more so in the present, and these are the kinds of messages that I'm talking to people about, so like I have to actually live it.
Right.
And I've been able to figure out how to make things work remotely. So now I go to the beach after. Yeah, it's good.
Hey,
it's good.
Maybe now that you're here, you'll create like a positive soca song.
That's the next step. I need to collaborate with someone immediately to do that. Yeah.
Maybe that's a good link to the next question, because I was about to ask, what future projects can we expect from Big Lou?
Awesome. So the first one will be the music video for As a Crew. Then
priority number one. But I'm also working on 4 different songs, which I'm probably going to release as an EP. Got it.
These will actually be the first 4 songs I ever wrote, which is kind of bizarre. A lot of artists won't share that because those songs are usually trash. But I was writing in my own journals and like practicing writing before I actually wrote these. And so after having recorded them and sharing them with some people, they're like, there's actually sentimental value in these. You should definitely start with these.
Right.
So we're going to be doing that. I'm hoping to get that out end of February, early March.
Gotcha.
I don't want to stamp the date, but that would be ideal. And then I've got another 8 songs, or another 4 songs, so 8 that I would like to release, perhaps in October. But to be honest, once I have all these foundations set, it's just a matter of like pumping them out. That's the easiest part for me.
Gotcha, bro.
Like a day can pass and there's a new song ready to go, kind of thing. Like if you take all of the administrative work out, the managerial work out, the networking out, if you can just focus on the artistry, which I'm trying to get towards, I'd like to start pumping out faster.
And what about terms of networking? Are you open to work with the artists here, producers here?
Most definitely. I've got connections abroad, but I'm planning on using those connections to also work with the people here, establish new relationships here, do projects with people here, but also continue doing international stuff. Because no matter where the person is from, they have their story, and you're not going to be able to create the same kind of product with someone else, even with that same person at a different point in time, because they might be in a different headspace. So each person, like I said before, they know something that you don't. They have an emotion that you haven't fully experienced the way they have. So you can create something new, that +1 effect, and then make good music.
Gotcha. I'm excited. I'm excited. Our last question we like to ask the guests usually is, who is Big Lou outside of the artistry, outside of the motivational speaking, outside of the podcast host? What do you like to do for fun? What are your hobbies and your interests?
While I was gone in Canada, one of the biggest things I missed was just being in the ocean, just fully submerged. I don't think there's a feeling anywhere like that. So going to the beach or diving or being connected to the water is a plus, is a thing that I have to do more. But I think what ties that even further is the attachment to spirituality, because it's ultimately nature. I don't like to think as like the trees and the animals and the water, that as nature, we are also nature. And so connecting with that is very important, and I want to spend more time doing that. And then incorporating those kinds of learnings in the music, but in a fun way, so that people are subconsciously making these adjustments.
Gotcha.
I also very much enjoy calisthenics, so it's kind of like yoga, kind of like Pilates, kind of like a lot of painful stuff.
We got just the club for you to
that's where
join.
it's at. Handstands, planche, that kind of stuff. I think.
I'm happy you mentioned it.
Yeah, it's a very cool discipline, and it's also tied to your spirituality because you're trying to achieve oneness with your body in the various movements. So those kinds of things: health, lifestyle, oneness with nature, and then sharing life lessons. Yeah,
gotcha.
I value that
just
much a lot.
connecting to a next human being.
Yeah, human beings and even just I don't know everything else.
Yeah,
that has a pulse. Yeah.
I got you, bro.
Great question.
Big Lou, where can they find you?
The easiest place would be bigloucrew.com. Everything is central there, so I've got my social media. I'll be putting out blogs there. That's the plan. Hoping to do like early releases with the music that I have, the first 4 songs. I'll be doing teasers there. But bigloucrew.com is the most central.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Bro, I appreciate you big time.
Thank you so much for having me.
For being on the show. Ladies and gents, you know the drill. If you like the episode, like, subscribe, share, and hey, till the next time.
Awesome.